Hello and welcome to the Filmspeak podcast. My name is Dave.
My name's Amanda.
I'm Adam. What's up?
And this is our weekly conversation about movies.
So how was everybody's week?
My week was alright. I am finished with one of my 4 classes of the semester after today, which is pretty nice because it's like one less thing to worry about. How was your guys' week?
It was fun. Just watching too much baseball and reading too many comics and not watching enough movies.
Sick.
Word. I'm watching a lot of baseball. Still watching a lot of fucking playoff action. The Capitals have come back to force a Game 7, which is crazy. They won last night like 5-2. So hopefully they don't just fucking build it all the way back up to lose in Game 7. Because that would suck. And be like pretty fucking on point. Or like on brand for them. But yeah, the NBA playoffs are like about to be like super fucking lit. Cleveland and Washington potentially are going to play each other. Well, actually, I guess it's the Warriors and the Cavaliers have respectfully moved on, but now they're just waiting for the other 2 teams to finish. And I'm pretty sure tomorrow is Game 7 between the Washington Wizards and the Boston Celtics, and that game's going to be wild. And then the Rockets and the Spurs are playing Game 5 or 6 tomorrow, and that should be, or like tomorrow, the next day, and that should be really good too. So basically just waiting for the next round, but also anticipating these other games. Other than that, I didn't really watch much since the last time we talked. A few things, but yeah, I went on my buddy's camping trip this weekend, and that was really awesome. Stayed on a beach in like Assateague, which is like an island near Ocean City, Maryland, like right on the Chesapeake Bay, or right on like the Atlantic Ocean, rather. It was cool. A little too short of a weekend, but that's always like the case. You know, you got to drive fucking 3 hours to get somewhere you're only there for like, you know, a day and a night. But it was really fun. Really fucking windy. At one point in the night, my friends were sleeping in their tent, and like she rolled over to the other side of the tent, and it like blew up underneath them, and their tent was like rolled all over on its side. It was insanely windy, so that was like a little annoying to deal with, but I was sleeping in a van, so it doesn't really matter. It didn't really matter for me, but I feel bad for my friends who were like suffering it out the whole weekend while I was like chilling. But it was a really good time. Shout out to all my homies. Amanda, what did you watch?
Wow. You guys sound so interested.
Amanda, tell me what. No, for real, did anyone watch anything good?
Yeah.
Wow, okay. So did anybody watch anything good this week?
I only have, like, I guess technically 3, but 2 are very closely related. Yeah, things to talk about. Last night I watched Punch Drunk Love for the first time, and it actually is the 100th movie that I've watched this year. Yeah, watched this for the first time. I'd been meaning to see it for a few months now, and I finally watched it at like midnight last night. And, yeah, it was really something. It, made me cry a lot. Mostly when, like, Adam Sandler's character, Barry, was, like, talking about, you know, his emotions throughout the movie, and, like, his fits of rage were also just, like, super, super heartbreaking. And, yeah, I mean, honestly, also, like, sound-wise, like, the score for the film, as well as, like, you know, like the loud crashes and like the screaming and everything that happened sporadically, it was very intense for me. I think that more than anything else was just like really overwhelming for me at sometimes, and I don't mean that in a negative way. It just definitely, it was like, it just all felt like a very strange dream, and I feel like the sound in the movie had a lot to do with that. And the movie was less than 2 hours long, but it felt much longer considering like how many different emotions are just like packed into it. I don't know. There's like an aspect of it that's just like hopelessly romantic too. I think like Barry and Lena were so sweet and like perfect for each other. And I also can't believe that one of my new favorite my new favorite on-screen like kisses has anything to do with Adam Sandler. But I really enjoyed it. I'm glad that I watched it, glad that I checked it out. And then
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
I really like that movie too. I haven't seen it in a bunch of years, but I watched like almost everything PTA's done pretty recently, and I for some reason just still haven't gotten to that, but soon enough. And probably like, this week now that you're talking about it, I want to watch it again.
Yeah, it's awesome. I definitely knew, I don't know, when I was reading about it online, everyone was like, oh man, like, I did not want to see this movie because of Adam Sandler. But I'm also, I don't know, like, at first, obviously, I was kind of like, whoa, like, Adam Sandler in, like, a dramatic and, like, PTA movie. I didn't have any, like, lower expectations because he was in it. I feel like a lot of people did, but oh well.
Yeah. I've actually heard PTA, I'm pretty sure it was on, like, Mark Maron's podcast, like, a few years ago, and he was talking about how, like, he wrote that movie he, like, wanted to make a movie for Adam Sandler, basically, after seeing something that Adam Sandler did. He was like, I want to make, a romantic comedy with Adam Sandler, but, like, his fucking weirdo vision of it, and that's what turned out. So, I don't know, I think that movie's awesome.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. And then the next thing I'm going to talk about is the new Netflix. I'm not sure if it's a mini-series or not, but it's like a 6-episode thing that is very new, and it's called Hot Girls Wanted Turned On. And it's like sort of a continuation of a documentary that came out a couple years that was just called Hot Girls Wanted, which like focused on a couple different girls in the porn industry. And it was just like super informative and, obvious like pros and cons to that type of work and everything. And I actually did rewatch, after I finished this show, I like rewatched the original documentary again just because I like forgot a lot of it. But I think that the show was way more engaging. It was like 6 episodes, like I said. They're all like 45 minutes to an hour long, and each episode has like a completely different focus, so they're kind of like little mini documentaries, if that makes sense. And yeah, the overall theme though that like ties into each episode is like the influence that the internet has had on like adult entertainment and like that type of industry, but also like kind of on like the way like our individual like behavior towards sex in general. Like there's an episode about like Tinder, and then there's also an episode that like really was like really heartbreaking for me to watch because it was about I don't know if you guys remember it was within the last like year or two where it was all in the news that this like 18-year-old girl was on Periscope, which is like the live streaming app that people use like all around the world, and she was like drunk and live streamed her friend getting raped. And she was like prosecuted for it, and it was like this crazy thing, and like the episode follows her and like her dad through the prosecution process where she's basically just trying to not be registered as a sex offender for like the rest of her life. I don't know, it was crazy. And then like the other episodes are all mostly based around porn. There's like one that touches on like race issues in porn, and then, like, there's an episode mostly about, like quote-unquote feminist porn and stuff. And it's just super interesting. I thought each episode was, like really, really cool as, like, an individual piece of, like, information. And, yeah, I would recommend it. I think it's really, really cool.
Sounds pretty intense.
Yeah, some of it was. Like, there was another episode where, like, it was about this cam model who does, like, online cam shows, and she's been doing it for a few years, and she literally flies, like, she flies from California to Australia to meet this guy who she has this, like, online relationship with, and he, like, pays to see her, like, every single day, and has, like, given her, like, thousands of dollars over a time span of, like, 4 years. And so after, like, 4 years of, like, developing a relationship where they're literally saying, like, I love you and stuff, she flies to Melbourne, Australia for a weekend. Oh, meanwhile, she's also married, which kind of blew my mind. But she flies to Melbourne to, like, spend a weekend to this guy, like, with this guy. And the episode just follows, like, how different it is from going, you know, online and having the barrier of a TV screen and then, like, being in person. And it was really crazy. I actually cried. But yeah, no, it's super cool. I really, really enjoyed it. I don't really see them continuing this. I have a feeling that it's a mini series, but I would be interested in seeing, like, more of this. So it was really cool.
Am I wrong, or did Rashida Jones make the documentary?
I am not completely sure if she directed it, but she was, like, a creator and, like, executive producer of the documentary and the show, and she did direct an episode. She directed the first episode of the show.
Got it. So it is the same documentary. I knew that she made something.
Yeah, I mean, the two are related, and there's actually an episode, so, like, okay, in the documentary, there's, like, an agent named Riley, and it's focused around the girls that, like, he recruits for his agency, and there's an episode in the show that's, like, focused around him, and he, like, makes a return in it. So
He's
it's
like, what's up? I'm Riley. What's up?
I mean, kind of. He literally was, like, around his parents wearing, like, a black hat with, like, gold metallic letters that just said porn across the front of it. I thought it was fucking crazy.
That reminds me of, like, Andy Samberg and Pop Star.
It pretty much was like that, except porn. But yeah, no.
Porn.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was really cool, though. And, yeah, definitely would recommend. It's fairly easy to get through, I think, because it's only 6 episodes.
Yeah, that seems cool.
Yeah.
I'm a little, like, weary of watching the one about the girl who, like, recorded her friend, but that, I don't know, it seems fucking weird, but I'll check them out.
I mean, it is crazy. And it's also just, like, a very, very conflicting thing, because the whole episode is, like, it follows her, and there's, like, confessionals with her, so it very much, like, humanizes this girl, but then at the end of the day, you're like, oh, wait, she, like, did this horrible thing, and it's, like, a question of whether or not this is, like, going to follow her, like, throughout the rest of her life, and, like, the whole idea of, like, permanency on the internet, like, once you post something, it never goes away, and stuff like that, too, is, like, very much a theme in it, so, I don't know.
Right.
But that's the final episode, so it's pretty, like, hard-hitting finale.
Wild.
Yeah, definitely.
Dave, did you watch anything?
I did. I watched Team America World Police. I needed a laugh about some of the current events that are going on, so I decided that was the way to do it. And it did not disappoint. You know, it's funny. It's the South Park guys, so you know they're going to be crude and crass, and it's going to be funny as shit. And it was like the opening fight scene. They have 2 guys that, you know, there's the American guy and then there's the terrorist. They, like, throw their guns down and they, like, you know, go to do some martial arts shit, and then they just, like, kind of crash the puppets together and just kind of wiggle them around. Pretty funny. And then when they, you know, they fight panthers, they're just, you know, black cats. So yeah, I watched that.
Sounds cool.
Yeah.
my mind.
Yeah. Well, the weird thing
fucking
is
ridiculous.
The weird thing about the puppet sex scene is that there's an unrated version, and that's not the version that they put out on Blu-ray. They decided to go with the theatrical version. So
weird.
Yeah, you figure that would be, I don't know, it's kind of weird.
Yeah,
but
that is weird. Yeah, that and
about
like
it being there,
and the puke scenes are like what I really remember from that movie. But
yeah,
I've seen it like a shitload of times.
And in the beginning,
back in the day,
when they're in France, all the streets are paved with croissants.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's great.
What did you watch this week, Fridley?
Well, I've only really had like time to watch anything in the past like 2 days, and since we were watching Arrival, I watched some other like space. Well, Arrival's not really space related. It's about aliens, but I don't know. I watched like some other like space like type of shit, and those two were Contact and Interstellar. Yeah, Contact is something that I'd never seen before, but I've always heard was like people were like let down by it basically, so I just kind of was like, well, whatever, I won't watch a 2.5 hour movie then, but for some reason like something came over me this week and I was like, I'm just going to watch this damn thing. And I think maybe it has to do with the fact that we just watched Silence of the Lambs, and I wanted some more Jodie Foster in my life, and I don't know, I just was like, whatever, I'll just give it my own opinion. And it is decent. Interstellar and that have like a lot in common actually, and I didn't really realize they would until like watching them back to back. But yeah, it's good. It's about Jodie Foster plays a character who is her like mom dies when she's young, and her dad is like there to take care of her, and she's like obsessed with trying to like reach like radio signal or like hear radio signals from like far away. Basically, they like set that up early on, and her dad ends up like passing away also. So she's like an only fucking child in this world, and eventually like she's like older. Like the movie's very pace wise. Like it's very much like a movie from the 90s. Like everything is just step by step by step. So I'm like talking sporadically, but it's literally like the first 5 minutes of the movie. All this shit takes place, but yeah, she plays a character who's like obsessed with that. So in her adult life, you know, obviously she's like still trying to continue her work, and she gets a grant or something, and is basically like continuing her work, and then all of a sudden she gets like a message that like she can't really explain, and she has to go. Like basically the world finds out that there's like a message that is out there from like a different planet, and it's the whole thing of like basically first contact with something like unexpected, and it's really good. It's really different. It handles it really different than like some other things I've seen, and it's interesting how they like put the plot together. Like basically they realize that the coded message is like a blueprint for a machine that they are going to build, or like they have an option to build that would like, they don't really know what it's going to do from there, but it's like this big structure they build off of like the Cape, where like they do all the like NASA stuff, and yeah, it's like this big like weird spinning like ball thing, and basically they're trying to like drop like the person in the middle of it. It's very like confusing, but in the long run, that where she has her like 2001 like going through the like color tube moment, and basically like gets to interact with like extraterrestrials for the first time, who like, spoiler alert, come to her as she sees it like as it's her father, which like people have been telling me that forever, that like, oh well, her dad is like, it's like a fucking 2.5 hour movie, and then like her dad is like the alien at the end. It's like, it's not really her dad. It's like coming to her as her dad because, you know, so she can visually like understand it, sort of, you know. So everyone is dumb as shit, but the movie's good, and mainly I'm only saying like the high school kids that I went to school with who were like, yeah, fuck that movie, like, yeah, like it sucks, and it's only because like they didn't really understand what they were watching. I feel like after seeing it, yeah, long like drawn out fucking story about Contact, but it's worth checking out. I'd say Robert Zemeckis to the guy who made like Back to the Future. So at least that's pretty cool. And then Interstellar is also really cool. I hadn't seen that since it came out in theaters, but I've like been wanting to rewatch it for a long time. And this week was just like a perfect opportunity to do that. And there's a lot of there's a lot of heart in that thing, and a lot of like real like human emotion, while also being this like grand scale epic type thing. I think it pulls out I think it like pulls off everything it's trying to do. It's a little silly. Like there are some scenes toward the end that are like a little silly, but I don't know. I really liked Interstellar. Have either of you guys seen that?
I didn't see it in theaters. I didn't actually finish the movie, but I did watch like I think half of it a couple years ago. And I actually like, not to say anything negative about the movie, but I kind of like fell asleep and like wasn't anything that I like picked up ever again.
Yeah. No, that's fair. I mean, it is very, especially the first hour is very like drawn out, kind of. But once they get out of this world, it's pretty crazy, and it's really good sci-fi. Like I really like it, and it relies on being like I don't know. I always feel like movies have to like be like scary if they're set in space, or like I don't know. Like I expected there to be some twist where there was going to be like a monster that turned the corner, and there's that sense of dread, but it's not that at all. Kinda, it's really awesome. And I know I say it like every week, but maybe we'll have to like watch that on the pod if you've never seen it, because it's really like an epic thing, basically. And it actually reminds me a lot of like Looper in a weird way, like the like world it's set in, like on Earth at least, is sort of similar. But yeah, that movie's really cool.
Who did Interstellar again?
Christopher Nolan.
Okay, that's what I thought. Inception. Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's actually like I don't think it's based on anything, but it feels a little derivative of some other sci-fi stuff, but also like pretty original at the same time. I don't want to give like a ton away for that movie, because I feel like there's some people out there that still like that movie came out in like 2014. I don't mind spoiling Contact, but I don't really want to just like go on about Interstellar when we potentially are gonna like do an episode of it on here or something.
Yeah, I will say definitely down to do an episode on it, but I'm gonna have to like watch that movie with like someone else. Otherwise, it's gonna be pretty hard for me to watch by myself.
Word. A bunch of sweet tea. All that.
I really don't think you'd have as like hard as a time with it as you are like trying to remember. Or like you remember having, honestly, like if you were just to sit down and watch it. It's not really like thinky, even, like honestly, it's pretty, you'll see. But yeah, we'll figure that out at a later date. I remember it being like incredibly like heady and being like, I don't know, I'm like sort of confused, but then I like rewatched it and I was like, oh, like not really like at all, never mind. Like, yeah, but that's about it.
Well, I know a movie we all watched. I can't believe.
The noise.
Oh.
Anyways, for
what
our
movie was that?
oh.
In my language, it's called Arrival.
Yeah, we watched Arrival.
Yeah, and in their language, it's like a circle with some weird, like, squid marks.
Hell yeah.
And it's super coated and, like, dense, and you gotta, like...
And we gotta call Amy Adams.
Yeah, we just gotta, like, show up at her house.
In general, I just need to call Amy Adams.
Yeah. We can get her on the line, for sure.
Yeah, that'd be sick.
Hell yeah. So, Arrival... Did this movie come out last year?
Yeah,
right?
2016.
So, 2016, Denis Villeneuve, what did y'all think?
Good, and I liked it.
Oh my god.
Actually, I guess real quick, we should just say, like, no spoiler, but this is like a movie about like an alien, well, about like first contact by just like these ominous like egg shaped ships that show up on planet Earth. Like I think it's 12 different locations around the country.
Yeah.
And then basically it's what happened, what's a realistic view of what happens from there, kind of. So yeah, what did you guys think?
Wait, really quick, wasn't this based on a short story too?
Yeah, it was based on Story of Your Life by Ted Chiang, which is in like a book of short stories that I don't know if it was originally called Story of Your Life or not, like the collection itself, but it definitely is now that like this movie's popular.
Cool.
Yeah, it is really good too. Actually, you should check that out.
Definitely. Well, yeah, this was my pick, and this was actually the second time I had seen it. I watched it a couple months ago, and it was, I mean, I just loved it. I like really, really, really loved it, and the end made me literally cry my ass off. And yeah, I knew that I was gonna want to rewatch it, and I don't know, it just kind of occurred to me last week that we could, do an episode on it, so that's why I picked it again, or picked it this time around for this recording. And yeah, it was awesome. It's like a super minimalistic approach to a sci-fi movie, and I'm really personally not somebody who seeks out the sci-fi genre when it comes to like my entertainment. But this movie is like a very big exception for me, and I think it's probably because it's obviously not completely about the aliens, although the aliens are truly like a really beautiful aspect of the storytelling of this movie. It's just, I don't know. They're like I don't want to say they're a small part, but compared to everything else that happens like with Amy Adams' character, I was just kind of, it was like a small part of it for me, I guess.
Interesting. Just like I mean, that is like that's a very interesting way to put it. Sorry, I wasn't trying to be like funny.
Yeah, I don't know. I've definitely seen a fair amount of sci-fi movies, I think, but this one is it's very different. It's very different to me.
Yeah, no, it definitely is different.
Yeah. I think the fact that it was so minimalistic and like not completely like over the top with shit, what's the word I'm looking for? I guess like warfare and like a million troops or whatever going to like fight this thing or whatever like most sci-fi movies are. I just don't really, I don't know. It's very different for me.
Yeah, no, it seems very like true to life. Like, okay, so there's only X amount of people like on a base right near this thing. It's like, it probably is how it would be, because like for 50 miles wide of it, they'd have like people patrolling, so like regular citizens can't just get in there and hang, you know what I'm saying? Like, or like vice versa, they're not going to bring in like a shitload of army. I don't know, maybe they would. Maybe that is like the one thing that's different. Like, there would be maybe more like troops around, but I guess
I'm sure they established a perimeter. They didn't it wasn't like a 50 feet, it was
sure
like a mile radius, just in case there's like radiation.
Yeah, so I guess that's what I mean, like
chopper them in.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, so it all does seem like very, like actually like militarily like accurate, kinda, at least, like compared to other movies for sure. Yeah, I actually watched like the bonus features, like a little like half an hour making of this, and the director, basically everyone was like sort of hesitant, except for the producer was like apparently a big fan of the book, but he was shopping it around for a while to be like, hey, like I have this idea, does anyone want to get this thing made? And then when Denis Villeneuve like got his name on it, he was like flirting with it. He was saying that he just wanted to make something that was like completely new, basically. Like he didn't want to, he's like, I've seen, like, he's like, there's a lot of bad sci-fi out there and there's a lot of really great sci-fi. He's like, I wanted to like make a mark on like the good sci-fi with like all these like newer thoughts, or like a new way to think about it, basically. So there definitely is like a conscious effort to have made it something that is original, and it definitely pulls it off. like, it feels like a step-by-step process of, like, how that shit would actually happen, kind of, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, not, you know, okay, if the language is, like, the first thing that you're going to struggle with, maybe that is the first thing that you deal with, and it's so cool that there's just, like, a person, like, a linguistic person is, like, trying to, she's the one that's, like, thrown in the middle of all this. Like, I love that. You know, it's not just it's not some random guy who is just, like, sucked up, like, in this thing. It's, like, you know, she basically, like, her life work has all, like, built up to this moment.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's really cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Very cool movie. What did you think, Dave?
I was definitely into the aliens, like the way that they looked visually. I thought that was really cool, and it's always really hard to develop a language, you know, for scripts and things like that. And just the circle that, you know, how they, I guess that was their sentences was like how we would write in a straight line. Theirs was just in a circle. So that was kind of cool too, you know, a different way of, you know, writing, whether it be horizontal or vertical. It was circular, and they looked cool, and just the features around the ship. But
so creepy.
Yeah.
Just so, like, ominous.
Yeah, I mean, there was no, like, eyes or any sort of you know, any kind of features. It was just body and pretty much tentacles. So
yeah, it's so cool. They are, like, showing, like, you know, like a rough draft basically of those things. Mm-hmm. And it's intense as shit because looking at them, like, on a computer screen, you can actually see, like, their whole head, you know, like, in this movie they're always, like, behind, like, a fog sheen kinda, but they are, like, they actually, like, look like if you can imagine, like, a person on, like, the bow of a ship, but basically just, like, all, like, congealed over. Like, they don't actually have, like, facial features or anything, but you can almost see, like, a human-like structure, and then below it, it just, like, turns into, like, a belly area, and then, like, their fucking squid hand tentacle things. Like, it's super... The like, actual, like, design of it on before they put it into the film was, like, super creepy looking. I thought that was cool. Like, they look like even scarier than, you know, or, like, more like a menacing, just like the original draft, which I thought was, like, pretty interesting. Because they're not really, like, scary. They're just, like, they're, like, majestic, basically. He, like, describes them as being, like, whale-like, which I really thought was, like, on point, kind of, and, like, a cool way to look at them.
And especially with their language, too. So that was kind of...
Oh, yeah, dude, there's, like, a guy who... Yeah, the whole language thing is, like, really cool, and I don't know, I mean, like I said a little bit ago, like, I feel like if this thing were to happen, there would be someone somewhere struggling to figure out, like, what the fuck they're saying. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, that seems like it's like never the first issue that we're actually, like, worried about in movies, but in real life I feel like that would be something that everyone is, like, immediately concerned with. Like, how do we, like, understand what they're telling us, basically, you know?
The whole, you know, thing between tool and weapon, they were kind of muddying the waters between those two, so they didn't really know they were offering a weapon, you know, when they were actually offering, you know, I guess it would be the next stage of evolution, being able to exist in the fourth dimension, you know.
Well, yeah, this definitely is the case. Yeah, it seems interesting though, because, like, the whole, isn't there like a point where they say, like, you know, eventually, like, they did this because they're going to need a favor from us.
Yes, like down the road.
Right, which is so, I'm like, what the fuck can we possibly do for y'all?
I just kind of liked how, at least in the beginning, they were just like, okay, we're gonna, like, bring you in to do this thing, and only, like, a select few people are gonna be here and know about this before we can release any information, so people don't, like, flip their fucking caps.
Yeah. Like,
they were just, like, I don't know, to avoid, like, mass freakouts, and then, you know, that doesn't really work because people end up freaking out anyway. But I liked that whole aspect of it too. Like, the whole thing was just very precautionary at first, so it was like everyone seemed to be trying to be as careful as possible. I don't know. I feel like that whole thing added tension. I said added tension and added stress.
Oh, what I was going to say is, like, it feels very, I don't know, it feels like how like, the humans like you're saying, like they don't want to let anyone know. But then, like, you know, the human element still does kick in where everybody is, like, on edge all over, all the leaders and all the people, like, around the world.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like, it's super interesting that, like, everyone's, like, pacing on their feet. And then, like, you know, as soon as, like, they decide at the end, I think, like, you know, when the Chinese guy decides, like, he's going to pull out and, like, whatever. I don't know, it just, like, it feels like the most, like, true to life, a situation that could really happen, where somebody's like, no, fuck that, these things are our enemies, you know, and then we end up, like, fighting with each other over that.
Yeah, it's
know,
like an
is,
international
like,
disagreement.
Right, but, like, I don't know, like, that, like, so all of that definitely does feel, like, so, like, true in this climate, basically.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, the timing of this movie's release was pretty crazy.
Fuck yeah. And it's even crazier that, like, you know, the election didn't go how, like, certain people wanted it to go, and we're living in, like, a different world than we thought we were going to be living in right now, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and, like, you know, you could see, like, you know, who knows how, like, this situation would be handled now, you know what I'm saying? But, I don't know. It's weird to think that I'm, like actually comparing it to something that could happen, because, like, it is, after all, like, about aliens just, like, landing on Earth. But at the same time, it's handled so, like, humanly that I think that's why it works so well. Like, it's very relatable, even though it's about something that is, like, totally, like, science fiction.
Yeah.
Well, it's not out of the realm of possibilities.
I mean, sure, but I'm just saying, like, that makes, it brings, like, it takes, like, aliens to, like, make us come together as humans. That's a pretty, like, interesting thing.
In real life.
What's that?
I said it's probably what's going to take in real life, too.
Shit, probably. Yeah, I really love this movie. I love the score. I was, like, obsessed with fucking, like, all the cinematography, like, all the fucking shots. There's, like, one shot in particular where he's, like, coming, like, from the top of the pod, like the hepapod, or no, the hepapods are the, like, creatures themselves, whatever the spaceships are called. He's, like, at the very top of it, and is, like, coming over, like, the belly of, like, the egg, and then there's just, like, people on the ground, but they're so fucking far away, and the shot just keeps, like, moving forward so slowly, and it's just, like, it's just fucking breathtaking. Like, so much of that, like, crazy shit, when they all start to, like, disappear at the end of the movie, and they just, like, fade into the clouds, like, as they're turning, like, so insane looking.
Yeah, it was really beautiful.
So much, like, visually treats.
Yeah, it was really beautiful, and honestly, I think it's, like, some of the best sound editing I've seen in, like, any movie, at least recently.
I'm pretty sure it won an Oscar for sound editing.
Was it for sound editing? I knew it won an Oscar, but I forget which one it was for. I'm glad it won, though.
I think that is, like, the only thing it won for. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
I'm probably wrong, but I think it only won one Oscar.
No, it definitely won only one Oscar, but I forgot what exactly it was for. Yeah.
Misinformed.
Want to bring it back to Amy Adams, though, because I can't believe that she didn't win an Oscar for her performance in this movie, and that, like, not to bitch about Meryl Streep, because I love Meryl, but, like, Meryl won over her, so, like, yikes.
What did Meryl Streep do again this year?
Florence Foster Jenkins, where she's, like, a bad singer. Basically,
she's like a celebrity chef.
What?
I'm just kidding. I was making a fucking Julie and Julia joke because we're talking about Amy Adams and Meryl Streep.
Oh, I forgot that movie existed. Shit. Oh.
Julia Child's impression.
I don't know. I'm not gonna keep going into it, but honestly, when I heard the premise of Florence Foster Jenkins, I was like, oh great, this is The King's Speech starring Meryl Streep.
Yeah. She's a singer?
I forget what she is, but she's just, like, this lady who's, like, quote unquote, like, the world's, like, worst singer, and, like, all she wants to do is, like, learn to sing. And then it's, like, her, like, embracing the fact that she's, like, a bad singer. And I'm like
another movie she was in, Ricky and the Flash.
I didn't see that one.
I didn't either, but actually it was directed by our boy, fucking Jonathan Demme.
Oh shit.
That's his last movie, which is crazy.
That is crazy.
And apparently it's decent.
Really? I knew it came out, but I never heard anyone.
I'd probably never watch it, but yeah, I've heard it's like an okay movie. But yeah, anyway, just a little tangent. Shout out to Meryl Streep.
Yeah. But anyway, overall, I am glad that Amy Adams, I feel like 2016, like, with this movie and with Nocturnal Animals, I feel like she's, like, really starting to get recognized for her talent. Not that she wasn't before, but, like, more so now. So I'm happy about that, because I really, really love her.
Yeah, she's a great actress.
The whole, like, motherhood aspect of this movie was, like, so heartbreaking, too. And, like the scenes of her and, like, her daughter, it almost felt kind of like Terrence Malick. But,
oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was so beautiful.
Yeah, it's great. It's, like, that's, like, I don't know, like, it's, again, the whole, like, aliens, takes aliens to, like, make us all together thing. But it's like, it like helped her inform, like, you know, like the biggest decision of her life also. And I don't know, there's like something to say about that too. Like, you know, this movie takes place, like you find out a lot of it, spoiler alert, is, well, like, I guess half of the story is running after you thought it was. Like, you thought everything with her daughter was before this stuff happened, but it's for like a second, right?
Yeah.
It's not. It's like actually in the future, and that's crazy to think that, like, you know, like there's like a future where aliens came and landed, and now they're gone, and everybody's just chilling again, you know?
Yeah.
But it's like because like we're all at peace because like everybody fucking is hanging out, and now we're all like chumming it up at like dinner parties or whatever at the end.
Chumming it
I'm
up.
just like talking very confusing about it, but
no,
yeah,
it makes sense.
basically, so am I wrong that Amy Adams? So like these hepapods have come to Earth to find someone who can help them understand it at least, so they can then like show them the light or whatever, like show them how to like see in like non-linear time, and then she goes forward in her memory to come back with like what to tell him on the phone, like from her own book.
It seems like
right?
What happens is it seems like the future was remade, or the past was remade from the future with, like, I guess it was some kind of branching timeline where, because the way that time...
No, the only time we're ever in the past is when she's at like the college in the beginning of the movie.
No, I'm saying like at the end where the general is talking to her and saying like, this is what you told me. Like, he has this look of knowing in his eyes, like, this is how we're going to beat it. Like, he is the one who, you know, kind of outsmarts the time limit that they're on, or he kind of outwits himself. He knows the one thing that will, you know, stop him from, you know, launching an attack on this thing.
Well, he knows that because she told him.
Right, but she wouldn't know that unless he met her later on down the road, and she
moves forward. She is mining her future for the answers to like solve the problem now.
Yeah.
So everything, it's like that. That's how it works. So like they allow her mind to like figure out what it's going to take for him to like say no to this thing, or like, you know, stand down. And then at the same time, like, so when he says like, do you remember what you told me or whatever, and she's like surprised by it, it's because she's experiencing this for the first time, but also like in her mind she's in the future, but she's also presently there, you know, because she has this like moment where she can not see time linearly. It's like very confusing, but I've thought about it a lot, and it definitely, like, it all takes place, like, the only time we're ever in the past is like before the shit, like the aliens land, right?
I think so.
Yeah, no, definitely.
But yeah, which is interesting because like her daughter is like playing with the fucking hepapod toy, and that's like 5 minutes into the movie. Right? Don't they like show that thing at some point?
Yeah.
So weird.
No, but that was like the passage of time, or like the use of time as a tool in this movie is like, it's incredible. And I think that moment where it all kind of like clicks towards the end is like what made it all so powerful, and like the fact that it was like kind of heartbreaking because like what happens, or at least what ends up happening to the daughter and everything, but still like remotely hopeful and just kind of like embracing the like events that are gonna happen in this woman's life. It was just really beautiful, and that's honestly like it got me both times watching this movie. It just like made me just fucking cry. So
definitely. I loved it. I loved like the use of it in this one compared to other things, where like other things it's always like a portal, or it's like it's a black hole, or it's like, because this goes back to like 2001, where he's like fucking basically like on like a fucking thrill ride for 20 minutes through like a wormhole, and then he like sees himself like in his deathbed at the end of the movie. This idea has been done before, but the way that they do it in this is like so interesting, because it's like they allow her to see like the thing on Earth, and she's now living with this like crazy fucking like experience. I don't know, I like that. Like it's like they live to tell. And I guess there are some other movies where that happens too, but it's all like it's definitely like a bigger to do like that. It's all sort of like brushed under the table in this one, but at the same time, like the most important part of the movie, and like it hits like where like it's such a unique way where it's happening to her, but you are also figuring out the puzzle like right at the same time, like right as it goes along. Like it's very, very cool, done very well.
Yes, I agree.
What do you guys think about Forrest Whitaker in this movie? He's like the most like brooding fucking guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, usually,
I love Forrest Whitaker.
Yeah, I like what he does usually, but like this time he was very straightforward, and he was usually like the militaristic general type guys who are involved in situations like this in movies are very like staunch and set, and like no matter what they're gonna do what they think is right. But he was actually open to suggestion, and like actually listened and was like, okay, this is good, I can, this is how I'm gonna sell this to this fucking. He was like actually on the side of reason instead of militaristic might, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Well, like everyone above him is like that, but I think like they basically established that he's gonna like listen to what she says immediately when she's like, oh, like ask him what blah 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 means before you decide, and then like when that comes back later, it's like, that's like a beautiful thing. And he's like, I don't know, it makes their relationship very cool, because like they're trusting of each other, even though like he kind of is like having to put his fucking neck out there for it, like he's like subtly like he's like I believe you, but I don't know, like we still have to fucking do everything this way because you're only one person, and there are a bunch of like angry people all around the world who are like the leaders of the world as we know it, trying to like they want to make the decision. And so it's cool, like it's a cool plot device to like have that guy be like the like strict voice of reason, basically, or not voice of reason, like the strict like willing to listen to reason kind of guy. Pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know. Anything else?
I said all my notes. What about y'all?
Yeah.
Okay, would you guys recast anyone?
Ooh.
That classic ooh, as in none of us thought about this beforehand.
Yeah. I don't think I would recast anyone.
Okay, then tag yourself.
I'll think of something to tag myself in. I really I can think of like, I guess like maybe like slightly better actors, but I kind of like that it's like people that are recognizable that still aren't like great, who are like getting to do something that's like super fucking special, you know. Amy Adams excluded. Like, I more mean like Forrest Whitaker and really just like Jeremy Renner. Basically, I don't know. I'm just like making up an excuse. I'll think of something. Did you guys have anyone you would recast?
I'm going to tag myself.
Okay, do it.
I'm Costello.
Nice.
Yes.
Word.
Yeah. You could be Hawkeye.
I guess fucking I'll be Abbott.
All right.
We're gonna party.
You know it. We're in the fog.
Yeah.
That's not fog.
All right, Amanda's Amy Adams. All right, peace, y'all.
Oh my god. Okay. I can be Amy. That's cool. Alright, well that about wraps it up for this episode of Filmspeak. If you like what you've been hearing, make sure you check us out on social media. We are on Instagram at Filmspeak, Twitter at FilmspeakPod. We have a Facebook page. We have a YouTube channel. We are on SoundCloud and iTunes.
See ya.
Bye. Bye. Have a good week.